Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is Building Humans, the show where we try to figure out what makes us tick, how we grow, and, well, how we can stop messing up the next generation.
It's good to be back.
We're continuing our journey through the works of Maria Montessori and specifically her book, Education and Peace. And as always, this deep dive is proudly sponsored by the Al Mahaba Foundation and Dar El Kalima Publishing.
We have a lot of ground to cover today.
We really do. And I have to say, I'm still sort of reeling from our last discussion. We ended on a pretty dark note. We spent the whole time unpacking this idea that there's a dictator living inside every parent, that urge to control, to dominate. It was, frankly, uncomfortable.
It's supposed to be uncomfortable. You can't fix a problem if you refuse to look at it.
Fair point. But naturally, if we're trying to kill the dictator, we have to talk about the alternative. And looking at the source material, the solution Montessori proposes is, well, it's the one word that makes most parents just break out in a cold sweat.
You mean freedom?
Exactly, freedom. And I'll be honest, when I hear freedom in the context of, a toddler, I don't think peace. I think anarchy.
Right. Chaos.
Total chaos. Crayons on the walls, broken vases. Is that really what she's advocating for here? That we just let go and let them run wild?
That is the most common reaction, and honestly, it's the biggest misunderstanding of her whole philosophy.
Oh.
We need to reset the dictionary here.
Okay.
In Montessori's view, freedom isn't license. It's not chaos. Freedom is independence. And there's a specific biological drive behind it.
Biological. I usually think of independence as, moving out of your parents' house when you're 20.
It starts much, much earlier. It's all summoned up in this one golden phrase that captures the silent cry of every single child.
Which is?
The plea, teach me to do it myself.
Teach me to do it myself. It sounds nice, on a bumper sticker, but let's look at the reality of that. Because in practice, it's usually incredibly inconvenient.
It is. But you have to understand what the child is actually asking. They're not asking you to carry them. They're asking to be taught how to walk.
Okay.
They're not asking you to spoon feed them. They're asking for the spoon so they can master the movement themselves.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate. Let's paint a picture every parent has lived through. It's Tuesday morning, you are running late for work.
Classic scenario.
Right. You need to be out the door in 3 minutes. Your 5-year-old is on the floor, struggling with their shoelaces. They're fumbling, the loops are backwards, they're moving at a glacial pace. So my blood pressure is spiking. I look at the clock. And what do? I swoop in, I say, here, let me do it, and I tie the shoes. We're out the door. Everyone wins. I was helpful.
You think you were helpful?
Right. But Montessori uses a word for that, and it seems incredibly harsh. She calls it humiliation.
It is harsh, but it's accurate.
Really? Humiliate? I'm just tying a shoe. How is that humiliating?
To understand why, you have to step out of your adult body for a second. You have to see the world through the child's eyes. You need to visualize what Montessori calls the world of giants.
The world of giants. Okay, set the scene.
Imagine you wake up tomorrow, and everyone around you is 12 feet tall. You're still your size, but you're living in a house built for them.
Okay, that's immediately terrifying.
The stairs are waist high. You have to climb them like a mountain. The sink is a mile over your head. You can't wash your hands. The door handle is this heavy brass sphere you can't even reach.
So I'm effectively disabled by my own home.
Exactly. You're a stranger in your own house. Montessori calls the child the forgotten citizen. We design everything for adults. The child is just there, struggling to survive in a hostile environment.
Wow.
Now, imagine you're thirsty. You try to climb the cliff face of the kitchen cabinet to get a glass. It's a struggle. You're putting in all your effort.
Yep.
And suddenly, a giant swoops down, grabs you, shoves water in your face, and says, here, hurry up. They think they're being kind. But what's the message they just sent you?
That I'm incompetent. That I can't survive without them.
Precisely. The message is, you are weak, you are slow. I am the great provider. When we intervene unnecessarily, we aren't saving time. We are stealing the child's dignity. We are stealing their chance to conquer their own environment.
That puts a very different spin on helping. But you said this was biological. Is it just about feelings, or is something else happening?
It's deeply physiological. This brings us to a core concept in the reading, the spiritual embryo.
Spiritual embryo. That's a heavy term. What does she mean?
She argues that unlike animals, who are born with their instincts pre-wired, a colt can walk almost right away, the human child has to construct their own intelligence.
Okay.
They have an internal blueprint, a biological directive that says, I must coordinate these nerves. I must master these muscles.
So when they're fumbling with a zipper and pushing my hand away,
That isn't just getting dressed. That is a neurological construction project. They're building the highways between their brain and their hands. When you swoop in and zip it for them, you're not just being nice. You are literally interrupting the development of their nervous system.
Yeah, that's heavy.
It gets heavier. Montessori says that when we constantly intervene, feeding them, dressing them, silencing them, we break that internal blueprint. We sever the link between the child's will and their action.
And the result is?
By doing that, we create what she calls mutilated men.
Mutilated men. That sounds like something from a horror movie.
It's a horror of the spirit. A mutilated man is an adult who has lost their initiative, someone who waits for orders, who only acts when told to, because for their first 6 years, someone else did all the acting for them.
So they're physically whole, but spiritually paralyzed.
Exactly. And this connects right back to that other term we flagged, moral schizophrenia.
Right, the contradiction.
Yes, the great contradiction of modern parenting. We claim to love the child more than anything. We take a bullet for them. Yet, unknowingly, we wage this unconscious war against their development. We act as the dictator at home, suppressing their natural urge to work, all while saying it's for their own good.
That's the schizophrenia, the gap between our loving intentions and our destructive actions.
Precisely.
Okay, I am sufficiently freaked out. I do not want to raise a mutilated man. But let's get practical. If help is humiliation, what am I supposed to do? Do I just ignore my child, sit on the couch drinking coffee while they scream at a zipper?
No, of course not. That's abandonment. There's a huge difference between serving, which is a form of slavery where the child depends on you, and educating, which is liberation.
Liberation, I like that word.
The goal of the parent is to provide the tools so the child does not need the parent. It requires a fundamental shift in your role.
So I have to.
You have to resign from the position of creator or God, the one who molds the child like clay. You have to take the position of observer.
The observer. That sounds passive.
It's the opposite of passive. It's active, disciplined restraint. Your job isn't to run the experiment for the child. It's to remove the obstacles that cause failure.
Give me a concrete example.
If the sink is too high, you don't lift the child. That makes them dependent on your muscles. Instead, you buy a sturdy stool. You alter the environment so they can succeed without you.
So the goal is my own obsolescence.
Yes. And this is incredibly difficult. You have to sit on your hands. You have to bite your tongue. You have to watch them struggle and fail and try again and fail again.
And that struggle isn't a bad thing.
That struggle is the birth of the human spirit. If you bypass the struggle, you bypass the growth. And this, believe it or not, is where we start talking about world peace.
Okay, you are going to have to walk me through this one carefully. We're talking about stools and shoelaces. How does a toddler putting on their own socks prevent World War III? That feels like a massive leap.
It only feels like a leap if we see peace as just a political treaty. But Montessori views war as a disease of the human spirit. And that disease starts in childhood.
How so?
Think about the child we just described.
Yeah.
The one who's constantly suppressed, always having things done for them. The mutilated man.
Okay.
What happens to all that energy, that biological drive that was blocked?
I assume it doesn't just disappear, it gets bottled up.
Exactly. It creates resentment. It creates a deep-seated feeling of impotence and anger. Montessori uses a very powerful metaphor for this. The palace on a volcano.
Ooh, let's unpack that. The palace on a volcano.
Imagine a beautiful palace. It's quiet, orderly, everyone's behaving. That's what we often want in our homes, quiet obedience. That's what Montessori calls negative peace.
It looks peaceful on the outside.
But underneath the floorboards, there's a volcano of repressed anger and frustration.
And eventually volcanoes erupt.
They always erupt. When those repressed children become adults, that inner void makes them dangerous. Because they have no faith in their own agency, they look for external strength.
Yeah.
They follow dictators because they were trained to be dictated to.
So true peace, positive peace, isn't just the absence of noise.
No. Positive peace requires a satisfied spirit, a human being who feels capable and heard and independent. Peace isn't signed in Geneva. It's built in the nursery when a child is allowed to say, I can do it.
Wow. And then actually does it.
And actually does it.
That is profound. But there's another layer here in the text that I found fascinating. We've talked about I can do it myself, independence. But she suggests that's just a gateway to something bigger.
Yes, this is crucial. We don't want to raise selfish isolationists.
Yeah.
But here's the paradox. You cannot understand community until you are an independent individual.
So independence leads to?
Interdependence. An
Yeah.
independent child,
Yeah.
one who feels secure in their own abilities, is the only one who can really understand they're part of a larger whole. Montessori calls this the single nation.
The single nation, meaning all of humanity.
Humanity as a biological and economic organism. We are all connected. And to explain our role in this, she introduces a concept that sounds a bit sci-fi, the cosmic task.
The cosmic task. I love this term. It sounds like we're about to launch a rocket.
He does. But she looks at nature. Take coral reefs. The little coral polyps are just living their lives. But the byproduct of their life, their cosmic task, is purifying the water and creating land.
So what's the human cosmic task? If coral builds reefs, what do we build?
We build supernature.
Supernature.
Civilization, technology, art. We take the raw material of nature and we elevate it. We turn wheat into bread. We turn coal into heat. We build a world on top of the natural world.
Okay, so we're builders of supernature, but how do you explain that to a 6-year-old? How do you teach them to appreciate this massive web they're a part of?
You don't lecture them. You do it through gratitude. And she suggests two incredibly powerful metaphors to teach this: the baker and the miner.
These stories in the book, yeah, they actually gave me chills. Let's start with the baker.
So you sit with a child and a piece of bread. Usually we just eat it. But Montessori says, stop. Look at the bread. Who made this? The baker.
Right.
And you tell this story. While you were sleeping in your warm bed, the baker was awake. He was working in the heat, kneading heavy dough, sweating through the night so that you could have this fresh loaf this morning.
It personalizes the object. It stops being just food and starts being human effort.
Exactly. And then she takes it even deeper with the miner.
This one is intense.
It is. We enjoy heat in our homes.
Yeah.
But where did that energy come from? From coal deep in the earth. So you tell the child about the miner, about the men who leave the sun, who go down into the deep, dark earth.
Right.
Men who are effectively buried alive every day to bring up the treasure that keeps us warm.
When you frame it like that, a child isn't just seeing a radiator. They're seeing a network of sacrifice.
Precisely. They start to see the hidden human effort behind every single object. The chair they sit on, the clothes they wear, it's all a gift from people they'll never meet.
And what does that realization do to a child?
It transforms them. When a child truly sees that their life is supported by the labor of millions of unknown people, they become what Montessori calls the child messiah.
The child messiah. That's a massive title.
It means they become a teacher of love. Because think about it. If you truly understand that the baker worked all night for you and the miner risked his life for your warmth, how can you go to war against them?
You can't. You're indebted to them.
Exactly. You cannot drop a bomb on the people who feed you. This shift in perspective from "I want this" to "I'm grateful for this" makes war psychologically impossible.
It's incredible. It moves from "I can do it myself" to "look at what we do together." But I guess the catch is you can't skip the first step.
No, you cannot. You can't get to the gratitude of the baker if you haven't first allowed the child the independence to understand work itself. A child who has never struggled to tie a shoe can't appreciate the work of others.
They just become consumers.
They become mutilated men who think the world owes them everything.
So if we want to raise this whole man, this person capable of peace, we have to start small. We have to start with the shoelaces on Tuesday morning.
We do. And we have to accept the difficulty. It's much faster to dress a child. It's cleaner to feed them. But we must practice the patience of the observer. We must view that extra 10 minutes not as wasted time, but as an investment in a free human being.
It's a practice of restraint for the parent. It's almost a spiritual discipline for us.
It is the ultimate service, resigning from being the dictator to become the guide.
So to bring this all home, the science of peace isn't abstract. It's happening right in our living rooms.
The final verdict is this. Peace isn't something you wait for, it's a construction project. It happens every time you let a child pour their own water and wipe up the spill.
Yeah.
You are building a human who trusts themselves and respects others, and that is the only foundation that can hold up a peaceful world.
That is a powerful place to land. It really challenges us to see those frustrating moments differently. They aren't obstacles to our day, they are the point of the day.
They are the work.
Now, we know it's not always that simple. We've talked about the nursery. But eventually, these children go out into a very complicated political world.
They do. And that is why, in the next deep dive, we're going to step out of the home and look at the impossible political choices of the adult world. We're going to discuss a topic Montessori framed as the choice between The plague and cholera.
Between the plague and cholera. That sounds like being stuck between a rock and a hard place, but with much higher stakes. I can't wait to unpack that.
That will be an eye-opener.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to remind everyone that we are just scratching the surface. If you want to go straight to the source code of these ideas, the book Education in Peace is available through Dar el Kalima Publishing. It's a dense read, but it will completely change how you view your children.
Absolutely essential reading.
Thank you for listening to Building Humans, sponsored by the Al Mahaba Foundation and Dar el Kalima Publishing. As you go about your week, remember our motto:
Love for all, service for everyone.
See you next time.